ESPN and the Professional Bowlers Association present the $125,000 Tucson Open. Welcome to beautiful Golden Pin Lanes here in Tucson, Arizona for this afternoon's $125,000 Tucson Open Championship. I know that you have fond memories of the Tucson area, Mike. You always enjoyed bowling here.
Seemed like I always bowled well here. I finished first in '82, but I had a couple other seconds and a third. Always loved being around the pool here and enjoyed the area and the people.
Walter Ray Williams Jr. opens up the championship round and basically shooting with a spare ball.
Well, the lanes are hooking more, especially on the right. And this ball goes straighter. We saw how much it finished there to leave the 4-pin. So Walter Ray, who's very, very versatile himself, can throw it straight and hook it. As he throws it this spare, he kills the shot completely and actually changes the roll, where the roll moves from outside the thumb to slightly inside the thumb, almost a perfect full roller, but it'll nick the thumb hole on occasion.
Which would help it straighten out even more.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be rolling hard to knock down one pin. Just has to hit it like that, even on a bounce.
Bumps away, and Walter Ray opens with a spare in the first. Our 5 television finalists averaged just a little better than 217 on this particular pair of lanes throughout the week, and individually, Jess Stayrook averaged 225.
But we talked about him playing inside during the week, and it looks like on the first game anyway that he's going to play outside.
Gets a handful on the opening shot. Ball comes up just a little bit light. In practice, every one of those shots just came screaming back, so the oil's beginning to carry down.
And that's what happens. The ball, again, acts as a transport. It carries that oil from the front of the lane to the back of the lane. That oil begins to build up, and the lane actually gets tighter as we go along.
So should you, if you're a player in the championship round and you get a very good reaction in the first 5 or 10 minutes of practice, should you just quit practicing your strike shots?
It depends on the individual. I know a number of players have done that in the past. Earl Anthony used to do that. Ooh. He practiced the spares, though, Den. Jess Stayrook holds that ball down. He's a power player. See that first step with the right foot. Now the ball starts even late in motion. It's almost a 3-step approach. Real short next to the last step. See the right arm out for balance. Not a lot of knee bend there, Dan. When you see short backswings like that, though, usually that means that the player is accurate.
John Mazza was kidding with Jess Stayrook during the practice session. He calls him meat hook because of the way he's so strong, throws that ball, gets all the roll. He can turn a little bit.
Yes, he can.
Turns this one just right, and he strikes on the left-hand lane. His opening strike here in the championship round.
When Walter Ray first came on the tour, he used to hook the ball as much as Jess Stayrook on the other side. But he's opted for a more straighter approach the last number of years and has had great success with it.
You heard Walter Ray say carry. Now, this is the problem you get into when you use the type of ball he's using right now. You're not going to have nearly as much pin action, so you're going to be able to hit the pocket, but you might not necessarily be able to strike.
Well, what you're doing is he's picking a lower surface friction bowling ball. He doesn't want the ball to bite as much because the lane is hooking so much that it's going to not provide enough friction to bring the ball in there. But you're going to get a couple of 10 pins here and there. Of course, you leave those with any bowling balls.
Mm-hmm. Old Deadeye, dead on the 10-pin on lane 16.
As it rumbled down there.
Well, this is a bit of a rematch, Michael, because these two faced each other earlier this year in the title match over in Erie, Pennsylvania, and Jess won that match 256 to 207.
Another one of those many defeats that Walter Ray has had since 1987.
What an incredible record. I mean, he was one of the, well, he was 1986 Player of the Year and came back in 87, had a solid year, and since that time he's bowled for 12 titles and has yet to win one. I mean, when does that streak going to end?
You keep thinking that a player of his caliber, it has to end any time now. But amazing, you know, it's not like he's been bowling bad every time. His opponent's been shooting big games at him. A tremendous lift that he has there and accuracy out to the first board and solid in the 1-3 pocket.
Came up light the last time, not this time. Beautiful adjustment, and Stayrook now doubles and leads by 11.
It looked like all he did was swing it more. Send it further to the left, but keep it on the lane. Takes an 11-pin lead. A lot of the young players, this is their types of adjustment. They don't necessarily move. They throw it wider. They move their eyes. Instead of looking at the third or fourth board, they'll look at the second board.
Well, that ball's hooking about, what, 15, 16 boards in the last 10, 12 feet?
Correct. Again, the pocket's on board 17. It's getting out to right around the second board and coming back.
But it's at the second board at 50 feet.
Whew. Just like I always used to throw it.
Yeah, if you were shooting the 10 pin, maybe, or the 7 pin. A three-bagger for Stayrook, who has the hot hand early on. He leads by 21. Stayrook, with the exception of that errant shot in the 6th frame.
3 frames left, 6 pins the difference. It's the bowler that can perform in the last frames that's going to win this match. Wider.
Boy, if he gets the ball to that point, Michael, the reaction is sensational.
And it's be interesting to see what knocked the 7 pin over on that shot. Is it just kind of fell to the left from the breeze of the ball or something?
It was gang tackled.
Is that what it was?
Sure. A re-rack for Walter Ray on the right-hand lane. On working on a double, I should say.
Trying to take the lead back. He's high. And again, he got that bounce off the first board. And what happens there is you just get the ball to the first board too soon on the lane. Needs to get it there about a foot later. Thing to watch, Walter, watch his left hand. Here. See that left hand come way behind his head almost as he lets it go.
The other thing, and I know you've pointed this out in the past, Mike, which is really unusual, but I kind of like it to a certain degree, is the fact that Walter Ray bounces that ball back on his backswing, then drops it back into the slot when he starts the forward swing.
It's away from his body, and then
Sure.
as you say, brings it back in, and it's right in line from the top of the swing all the way on down. It's just, you know, as you get older, and he's over 30 now, it gets harder to do that on a consistent basis.
Needs it in the foundation frame, and oh, he did not like it when it left his hand, and so Walter Ray is in a position now where he's going to have to hope that Stayrook struggles in the latter stages.
He's going to have to hope Stayrook stops striking, but again, he just can't get that ball to the first board too soon. This is exactly what happened again. It hits it there, and it goes left immediately, and he knew it. He knew it had no chance. Well, his face said it all.
Covers up to 6-10, trails by 8, and Jeff Stayrook could put him away very quickly.
And Walter, you know, when he had the opportunity to take the lead back and perform well, we said the player that performed well in the last frames would win. Didn't perform very well in the 8th tonight. Gave it room. Boy, he gives it room. You can almost write it up, can't you?
Pretty shot. As a matter of fact, he has yet to leave anything, Mike, when he does get the ball to the area that he wants it.
Yeah, the only time he's left something when it went right through the heart of the pins, and he had a bunch of them up there then.
Started the game with a 3-pin and had the disaster in the 6th. Since that time, he's strung together 3 more strikes, though, and he appears to be ready to move on to match number 2.
Well, he still needs some kind of spare strike now. The 6-8 was there for a freckle, but they both fell.
So Stayrook will move on. And meanwhile, Walter Ray, since winning in '87, will now move to 13-22 overall in championship round play, and he'll just have to keep the chin up and come back another day.
And Jess has defeated one former PBA Player of the Year. Now he's got a former Firestone winner in his path.
Extremely talented, versatile crew on the telecast here this afternoon. Whoever wins this one will have earned it. Seems that this tournament, though, through the years has always brought out the best in the PBA players.
Did you see that little move, though, that he experimentation there? He moved inside, Now, we talked to John Mazza during the practice balls. He said that the left-handers could play either in or out, that he had a shot either place. Jess showed us that by moving in close to the 4th arrow and striking on that second ball in the 10th.
You mentioned that, Mike, and it brings up another interesting point. As I talked to John Mazza, he said if Jess plays out and wins 2 or 3 games, there's a good chance I'll end up playing in because I don't think the shot will be very good out there. So it's almost like he's going to do the opposite of what Stayrook is doing if he gets the kind of reaction he wants. Another experimentation shot there that obviously worked, but it was on the wrong side.
It's a right strike with his strikes. He had, what, 10 strikes in that game for 250 even.
So for Walter Ray, a 5th place finish here in Tucson. And he really made a beautiful run last night to solidify his position in the championship round, but he'll just have to shake this one off and hope that the streak starts to flip around and go in the other direction. Did you ever have a stage, Mike, where you went a long time without winning in the championship round?
From 1972 to 1979, I never won a game.
That's a long time. 7 years, the 7-year itch, right?
Yep.
7-year ache for Durbin. 250 for Stayrook. Whew. Boy, that's got to get your attention if you're Dave Ferraro.
Well, Ferraro's seen 250s before. It doesn't scare him.
You know, he is such a unaffected player. We bring that up. It's like he's very unassuming. It's like, all right, he shot 250, but he's got to bowl me next.
Well, with Dave, it's just a matter that he is very confident in who he is and what his abilities are, and he's not afraid of anyone.
All right, Stayrook moves on and wins 250 to 211.
Coach says why
15.
And Dave Ferraro is showing his versatility and his flexibility all week long. He played right at the first arrow. Didn't like the reaction out there today, the ball biting too much, as we saw Walter Ray's ball doing in the first match. He's opted for the more inside angle where there's some more oil.
Out to the 1 board, back to the 17 board, and another strike for Stayrook, who threw 10 strikes in game number 1.
He says this is an easy game. Just send it left and watch it come back and strike.
Powerful player who normally has taken advantage of winning when he has gotten to that position. Has 2 national titles to his credit. Right now, though, he does have a fabulous reaction. That has to loosen you up a little mentally.
Well, he knows that he has a chance to win this tournament. I think he feels that the right-handers really don't have that good a ball reaction, and that, you know, if he can get through here a couple matches, that he'll be bowling Mazza.
It's interesting, too, because this tournament kind of turned around once match play started. The left-handers averaged 9 pins a game higher than the righties when they got to the final 24 games.
Yeah, there's his lovely wife looking on, not liking that reaction of the 3-7-9. Kathy says, Jess, I want you to throw hard and straight at this, and maybe something will bounce out there and hit that 7-pin.
You should have seen her last night when he needed the mark in the 10th against Albee when he finally got the strike. I thought she was going to fall on the floor. It's tough. Nothing bounces out, but Ferraro bounces up off the bench quickly because he sees an advantage as he calls for a re-rack on 16.
And Jess, for the first time, threw that ball left, and it didn't come back. So it could be that that oil is carrying down. Remember what Mazza said, that if Jess was playing outside, he didn't think he would because he didn't think the shot would be that good.
That'll be interesting to see where our top seed John Mazza decides to play the championship round pair. Keep in mind, Norm Duke is qualified number 2. Wow, did he have a night last night. Ferraro back in, little in-out shot. Bucket was there momentarily, and he probably wishes he'd have left it.
2.58's no easy spare at any time.
Now, how does he adjust to shoot this spare?
Well, it'd be interesting. You know, some players opt to shoot it from the left. I would think that Dave is going to shoot it off of his strike line because he knows what the ball is going to do there. So he'd be aiming right around the 3rd arrow. Perfect conversion. 5-step player holds the ball waist high, short first step, and gets the ball into a swing right away. Quick steps. And the interesting thing, here's his shoulder high backswing, very little slide, and goes into it heel first. The foot turning there really is inconsequential because it's done after he's let the ball go.
Average 224.6 on the championship round pair this week. And comes back with another solid strike on 15.
But didn't really take advantage of the opportunity they had with Jess opening there in the second frame.
Well, we know he has the potential to throw a lot of strikes, so an open may not bother him that much, especially early on in a match.
The only way it's going to bother him is if that was a mistake on his part or whether there's a different reaction on the lane.
Oh, that was the half board, and it came back and nearly tickled out the 10.
I think that's the first time he's hit the 1-2 and not struck. So maybe from the first frame in the first game, boy, out to the absolute edge. But you see how much further down the lane he gets to that point than Walter Ray was playing on the other side of the lane.
Carey has been terrific. I mean, he's got to be throwing strikes, what, 95% of the time when he hits the pocket. No problem with the 10. And he continues to trail by a dozen pins here in match number 2.
Well, we'll see what kind of adjustment he makes on lane 15 after that 3-7-9.
Well, you see the scoreboard here with Stayrook trailing by 12. Well, one of the key members of our crew, Betsy Lawrence, is back home in Chicago recovering from a slight domestic accident. We all here want to wish her the best. Take it easy, Bets, relax, and we want you out here the rest of the summer. We're not the same without her. Jess kind of creeps up on the foul line, unleashes a powerful shot, and just absolutely pays the price with the pocket 7-10.
And that head pin went to the sideboard, missed the 10 pin on the right, then came back and missed the 7 pin on the left. So it was 0 for 2. Hard and straight at the 7 pin and hope for something to bounce out. Oh, and he made it! The third time!
Well, Mazza made it earlier this year. Roth was the first to do it, and Kathy says, you bet. A 7-10 conversion right here on ESPN.
1998.
Works on a double, steps up in the 7th. Regardless of whether he wins or loses, this will be a memorable afternoon for Jess because he became only the 3rd player in the history of the PBA on national television to convert the 7-10.
And what's interesting is how he was able to recompose himself, put that behind him, and come right back with a double.
Needs 2 more to close the gap.
He didn't know that was going to hold or not. He didn't get it as wide, but it held pocket. Oh, the same guy.
The thing that's interesting, though, is the fact that Ozio is here to help you with your arm swing. And, of course, he was the guy that basically put you off the national tour when he defeated you right on 15 and 16 back in 1985.
I should have reminded him of that, huh?
Plenty of strikes now in the stretch run of game number 2. Keep in mind, Stayrook shot .250 in the opening test to knock off Walter Ray Williams.
And he can still shoot .246 this game. I'll tell you, with that conversion, I think he's the crowd favorite now.
Boy, if we could get an opportunity to see that strike again. One of the things that Jess chatted with me about concerning synthetic lanes, and they put synthetic lanes here in Golden Pin 2 days after last year's tournament, is the fact that the pin action is so tremendous.
Watch that head pin, how fast it comes off and knocks that 6 pin out of there. Back to live, and Ferraro trying for 4.
Looked like he tried to move in on the right-hand lane, which has presented the problems as the baby splits, and Dave was not happy at all with that shot.
Has to make this to stay in the lead. Has to convert this. He's not switching balls, using the same ball. Perfect. Is that professional? I mean, he wasn't even concerned about it. It was like shooting a 5 pin.
I think the thing that I like about what Dave does, his approach is the same amount of time is taken for every shot, regardless of whether it's baby split, 5-pin strike shot, or whatever.
I don't know whether he practiced this in the practice balls right over the fourth arrow, clipped it just on the right. There's the conversion.
Still a possible 238. He might need all of it. He needs a strike here as this one goes down the lane a little longer than the previous shot. He leaves the ring in 10.
And came in when that happens, when that ball comes in behind the 1-3 a little bit, that 6 will go sailing right around the 10.
Which is exactly what happened. Now the best he could shoot with a spare would be 227.
He's in trouble.
Stayrook, who took advantage of converting a 7-10 split in the fourth, is down by just 1 with an opportunity to finish him off just like he did with Walter Ray.
Right. Strike in the 9th puts him in the lead for the first time in the game. Light hit. 9 pins up now.
Without question, Just Stayrook has it going.
Boy, he hits this one thin. The 1 pin barely hit the 3. It was almost a bucket crumbler strike. But he's in the position now that if he strikes now, the match is basically over.
I want to reiterate, though, and talk about that pin action. Do you see those pins flying on the deck?
Well, that is characteristic of synthetic lanes and synthetic pin decks. For the lockout. Oh, my goodness. The light pin giveth and the light pin taketh away.
Taketh away. A solid strike shot, and he ends up with 9.
But he needs to recompose himself, make the 8 pin that he left here, strike and finish with 225 to force Ferraro to get 2 and 9.
Jess is still kind of chuckling to himself, saying, now, I didn't deserve the strike on the right-hand lane, but that was the best shot I threw all week. Now, what about Ferraro? The right-hand lane has not been a good one.
Trusted it out to around the first board. Watch it go right through and chop that 5 right off the 8. To answer your question, Dave Ferraro has the reputation, and a well-earned reputation, as being a clutch bowler. Let's see if he can live up to it. He has not done that in recent years, the last 2 or 3 years in these kinds of situations.
Stayrook with a beautiful performance. 224, and with the conversion of the 7-10, no matter what happens, I think Jess is going to appreciate this day for a long, long time. But now Ferraro with an opportunity to win the match.
I don't know what happened. Something bothered his concentration. I don't know if the clock is still ticking. With him, he gets off so quick it wouldn't matter, probably.
Give it a little room. He made the adjustment. First shot is in there, and he leaves a solid 4 and walks away disappointed, as does Gloria. Excellent shot, just didn't happen.
And that's what's happened to him the last 2 or 3 years, as Gloria shakes her head and says, how come again? And he's made the good shots when he needed to, but something stood.
Looked like he went with a little more speed perhaps on that shot to hold pocket, and it almost did, but
well, when you throw the ball basically straight like Dave does anyway, your tendency under pressure is to pick up the speed a little bit and play the tight line. I mean, get the ball in the 1-3 and take your chances. Well, there's Gloria watching. Kathy barely can look. Disappointment on one hand and relief on the other.
Awful tough when they have to sit next to each other. They're all pretty good friends out here on the tour, but it's a 224 to 214 victory for Just Stayrook. Only the 3rd PBA player in history to convert the 7-10 And live to tell about it. Quickly, Michael, we talked about Norm Duke maybe running over the 25-second limit, but the tournament committee has just voted, apparently, that if you're putting a piece of tape in, the clock starts after the tape goes in.
I wasn't aware of that rule, but that is the rule that they have. Yes.
Oh, he moves to the inside line, Michael, and he struck. So he figures, hey, I'm down 25. I might as well take a big chance.
And that is a gutsy move to move from the first arrow or banking it off the first board into the fourth arrow in the middle of the game or the seventh frame of the game.
For Stayrook, who has a couple of opens and a 2-4-6-10 split conversion here in game number 2, could still shoot 212.
But he better strike right here. Down 25, can cut it to 15. And Duke has found the pocket.
And he's in on the left-hand lane as well.
Correct.
Some great shot making there.
He likes the reaction, I'll tell you. Suddenly light. Hey, maybe I can strike out here. Carry. All right. Can't accuse Jess of being stoic out there, can we?
Far from it. Meanwhile, Duke goes to the half board, comes back, pocket, trips out the 4, the 9 pin still there. That 9 pin has really been a problem.
What amazes me, though, is that violent reaction off the one board. That ball just going banking dead left. Watch it go creep high, and the 4-9 is up there for a second. Watch the tip of the pin or the head of the pin hits the 9, but not hard enough to knock it over. He's got it.
Duke struggling at best with the 1 pin spares.
Well, the best that Norm Duke can get as we look at the score, the difference 14 pins. If he strikes out, it's 216. Jess Stayrook, if he strikes out, could be 212. So anything could happen. Duke has already taken 2 re-racks, so he's out of re-racks.
Boy,
this
we've
is
got
his second right here.
Dash, dash, donut, donut. We've got them all here on the scoreboard.
Split conversions.
What a wild afternoon here in Tucson. Good speed.
Good shot. See, he didn't get that ball over the first board. A nice, more even reaction to the 1-3.
Now, does he know that?
Sure, he knows that.
Right.
It's just that we're not perfect. We can't perfectly hit that same board every shot.
The lane's hooking a little more, so if he doesn't get it out to that point, it hooks too. Right?
Actually, it goes a little longer. If he hits the second board, the ball goes further down the lane, makes a more even arc.
What I'm saying is if he hits 3.
Well, it could go high.
Yeah. Needs it to stay alive. And, oh, boy, this is a better reaction than he had on the gutter for a while.
I'll tell you, though, I just marvel at the modern day player, you know, to make that kind of a move in the middle of the game. Of course, he, like you say, he was down 25, but now he's only down 4 and can take the lead in the match for the first time with 1 more strike.
What you're saying is, in your day, did you ever make that radical a move in a championship round?
Well, I should clarify that. My first game on national television was against Nelson Burton Jr., who played 1 lane, the 4th arrow, and the other lane, the gutter, and started with 6 in a row. So they've been doing it for 30 years, Dad.
Nelly did that, right?
Yeah.
And he beat your brains out.
Oh, he crushed me. 240 to 160.
But you beat him here for your title.
I outlasted him. For the lead.
Ooh, he got it a little bit right at target when it left, and he was kind of hoping it would hold, but it just didn't.
Yeah, not his best shot, but he's still in the match. If he makes the spare, strikes, he can finish with 190 that would force Mr. Duke to mark in the 10th frame.
An eventful afternoon for the San Diego native, who is really trying to get to a title match and win his 3rd professional championship, but he'll need some luck now.
Well, all he can do is do his part and strike, and then watch Norm Duke.
Had 10 strikes in the opening game, just 5 thus far in this one. Well, you have to love the guts and courage of the big-time move. At least he gives himself an opportunity to maybe move on.
Well, he did everything possibly could. Make the 7-10, make the 2-4-6-10, slide the 3 in front of the 7. Duke has been trusting it. Good speed.
Put the handle on that one, started the lawnmower with that swing, and Norm Duke, to the chance of his supporters, is about ready to move to the title match.
And what's so interesting is Norm Duke for years had the reputation as one of the slowest bowlers on tour. Did you notice how quick he got up and threw that shot? I mean, that was over in a heartbeat. Right now, though, I look for him to throw it right down the middle of the lane and stay away from the edge.
Confers with Johnny Campos, the national tournament director, as to what the score is, what he needs to win. Oh,
boy.
my.
That's guts, isn't it? The only thing that could beat him was one in the channel. And
let me ask you one quick question, Mike. When he asks Johnny at that point, is Johnny allowed to tell him how many he needs or what the score is?
he should tell him what the score is.
Okay. You know, you can't say you need 3 pins to win or you need 5 to win or 7 to win.
I don't know what, John. There's no real rule, but in reality, I mean, basically he just tells him what the score is, and it's up to Duke to figure out what he needs.
Okay. All he needs now is to win one more game. 8-pin fell, so did the 9, and the 7-10 man, Just Stay Rook, heads to the corral. But I'll tell you what, the guns were blazing here this afternoon. He shot the 7 and the 10 down, and they appreciate it here in Tucson, where they've watched professional bowling for 30 seasons.
There's an easy way to
The PBA lane maintenance pattern has put down the condition. The left-handers have bowled very well here, but so have the right-handers, and we've got a right-hander going against the left-hander for the championship.
And it would appear that John Mazza is going to at least start out. Good
Little
choice.
rumble there.
Very good choice.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. Using a different type ball than Just Stayrook. They're using a real dull ball that bites the lane. That's what he's trying to get. Good finish at the back end.
Meanwhile, Duke found something in the latter stages of the semifinal. Moved in a little with his feet, stayed with the same angle, and whew, that was close.
Not quite the same speed that he had before because the adrenaline. I mean, he's already won that match, and he's not really into this match enough yet. Needs to keep that speed really firm, or that ball's going to creep high like that every time.
Boy, during the commercial break, Norm Duke was joking with the crowd, trying to stay loose, and this is a different player than we've seen in past years.
Well, it's a confident player, so it's a similar story to Mazza. I mean, I know that Duke, as he shoots his spare from the left again, and I don't know. I'll tell you what.
Well, he missed the first 2 spares in the semifinal game and went on to win over Stayrook, but I'm not so sure he'll be able to pull that off against Mazza.
Well, we try and extol him and say how great he's bowling, how much confidence he has as he keeps whiffing all these spares. I mean, he's smiling about it himself, though. I'll tell you, it's a good sign when you can laugh at yourself. You know, if you look at the 2 players' body
but missing
English,
spares in a championship round is not a laughing matter.
well, but you don't want to get down on yourself either, Dan.
All right. Boy, oh boy. I guess he's got to get behind to come out and get the speed back up.
Well, that makes him angry. It's intentional. He misses him on purpose just to lull his opponents into a false sense
You're
of
reaching.
security.
You are really reaching
Well,
now.
I don't know, something.
All right. I don't know.
I don't either. I don't like shooting left-hand spares on the left side of the lane.
Over the thumb hole, high, and a 2-pin.
You got to trust it. It's just he threw that shot like he was just kind of guiding it into the pocket, and afraid it wouldn't make it back, and steered it right up there high. Fortunate he didn't get a split.
John averaged 225.3 on this pair and had one stretch during match play where he won 12 consecutive matches.
Four-step player, holds the ball waist high, kind of rocks those toes, pushes and steps. Basically a free swing, head is steady, backswing slightly higher, nice deep knee bend. That's the form that's won 3 titles so far this year.
And provided him with 7 championship round appearances. Both of these players are tied in that department.
That's a lot.
considering there's a lot of bowling left. Oh, major league break there as the 8-pin gets tackled from behind.
And the difference in speed between the two players. Mazza just basically stroking the ball, a nice even speed going down the lane, letting the surface of the ball, the back end of the lane, bring the ball in. Duke overcoming everything with speed and hand position and a quicker approach.
Spare ball utilized, and Norm Duke steps up, working on a strike in the second, trailing by 11. Doesn't seem to be bothered by the miss. Spare.
He doesn't seem to be bothered by much of anything. As I was trying to point out earlier, being respected is very important to know. As he leaves his third solid 9 in a game in 3 frames. That's what's causing that, is that violent reaction at the back end of the lane. That ball is just turning left and just chopping through those pins. The pins are no match for those killer balls going through there.
Better.
Well, he's confident in that one. He's made it several times before.
He's left it too many times. Norm with a 216-190 victory over Just Stayrook in the semifinal. And we're in the title match. In case you've just tuned into ESPN, a history-making performance for Just Stayrook in game number 2 as he converted the 7-10. Right now, Mazza just trying to keep his thoughts focused and relaxed.
And on himself, not worry about his opponent.
If you like boxing,
What a fight!
if you like
Over the thumb hole and through the woods, but he leaves the solid 7-10.
The only thing positive in his mind there is that he threw the ball the way he wanted to throw it, trusted it, and got a reaction to the 1-2 pocket.
As you alluded to, John is 2-0 from the top seed position this year, 2-1 lifetime.
And the one time he lost was in Cleveland a year or 2 ago when he started with the first 4 or 5 strikes in a row, but then had a mental lapse in the middle of the game, had a couple splits, and wound up losing.
Jimmy Pensack won that tournament, didn't he?
That's correct.
Ahead by 10, but far from over.
Smooth stroke.
Better roll there. You could see that one coming off his hand. That's a confidence builder there.
Well, again, this is all part of this visualization and sports psychology that he's talking about. You know, visualize how you want the ball to arc going down the lane, how you want it to come off your hand, how you want to act. He's making a believer of a lot of people.
Oh, plenty of speed there. I think you're dead on the money in terms of assessment. Norm Duke thinks he's going to win this match.
His body English, everything about him just exudes confidence right now. Just studying him, there's no side-to-side motion of that head, just confidence as he comes back. He's nothing negative going into his mind. Even when he misses the spares, he thinks he can overcome it.
He did in the semifinal.
See the thumb hang just a hair on that one, Dan? Not quite the great roll that he's had the previous shots, and the 10-pin was the result.
And there was also more loft because he did hang up.
That's right. See, and what we mean by that is that he didn't get the thumb out of the ball as clean and quick as he had in some of the previous shots. High backswing. Right here, thumb and the fingers come too much together. See the loft?
Yeah, by and large, he's pretty much been laying the ball down within a foot of the foul line. That one was 2.5 to 3 feet out there.
Right on line. His accuracy was still the same. Speed was still the same, but left the solid 10.
Mazza by 1, could be 11 if he strikes here on 16.
Just won't trust it when the strike is up there, Denny. See, what that registers to me as I watch him, you know, is that inside his mind, he's just not confident in where he's playing the lane. He won't throw it to the left and feel that it's coming back when he's got a strike up.
Regardless of where John Mazza or Norm Duke finish, both will eclipse the $100,000 barrier, I think, for the first time in both of their careers.
Jeff Stayrook made similar split. Doesn't convert.
So an Open in the 6th, and it's now an 11-pin lead for Norm Duke. So Mazza has plenty of work left.
And he's going to have to utilize all of these techniques from his sports psychologist. You know, it's interesting. It seems to be the contemporary thing of the 1990s and late 1980s that a lot of people in different sports are using sports psychologists.
Well, for years, athletes have done nothing but work on the physical game and very little on the mental game. Meanwhile, they tell you that the game is 90% mental. Not a good shot there for Mazza on 15. Now, will he do the same thing that Stayrook did and realize that, hey, I just don't have a good reaction, I'm going to try something here, or will he stick with the outside line?
I think he's going to stick with the outside line because he tried inside in practice and didn't have a good reaction there. See how he puts his last 2 fingers in for the spare there, the ring finger and the little finger, to straighten it out. Another tip. Again, see the very little rotation, cuts down the possibility of a chop and makes the spare conversion a lot easier.
And now Norm Duke in the position that every pro likes to be in, with a good reaction and an opportunity to take the lead and really grab the momentum in a title match.
The only thing that stopped him has been solid strikes and missed spares.
A little nudge from the 6 will go a long way in the championship round.
He gave it a double kiss there, went up on the pin, halfway up, and then flicked again. Watch the 6 pin. Second from the right, goes to the channel, comes up, and then went back down and bounced back up again and got it.
Just a little nudge.
See him talking to himself? Now, I guarantee you, everything he said to himself then was positive. There wasn't one thing negative.
Killer shot there. Tremendous double for Duke, who has, without question, seized the momentum and the lead here in the title game.
All the momentum's his way now. Mr. Mazza has to just reach back and strike here in the 8th and 9th to have any chance to win at all.
Still could shoot 216, but has to get something started immediately. And he does. Trying to hang on, just give himself an opportunity to at least make Duke work for it in the 10th.
Pretty shot. You know, earlier this year, we watched him finish a game where he struck out in the 10th frame, and he still wound up losing the game as we watched this ball roll right through the 1-2 and knock all 10 pins into the pit. And there's a mental side to it that when your quote back is against the wall like that, that sometimes you relax and you perform your best.
Oh, more roll. Needs a break and doesn't get it. Oh, couldn't happen at a worse time for John Mazza.
All you can do is put it in the pocket if the pins don't fall. As he looks up at us.
He says, I think I can do it twice. I tell you, that says a lot for this champion, because right now his insides have to be just turning over. He made it earlier this year. How about again? For a moment. Oh, my. Disappointed John Mazza, who I think when you talk to him afterward, Mike, is going to realize he just didn't bowl his best game here in the title match.
Well, obviously, when you're shooting 170, it's not your best effort.
Norm Duke has already won once this year, 2 times in his career. A victory here kind of puts him on the fringe of Player of the Year if he could really finish strong. Oh, he unleashed that. Down on one knee, and he'll chat a little to our foul line camera. Duke responding and looking for a victory.
He's just been the picture of confidence, especially on the first ball. I mean, his spare's been a little shaky all day. Smile, the confidence. Yes, baby. Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter at all. Tucson Open champion Norm Duke, who you can see feels bad for John Mazza, but John, I'm sure, with the attitude that he has taken this year, it'll be, hey, it was a great week. I got to the top seed position. It didn't happen, but I'll look forward to next week's event. Can't win them all.
What you try and do is learn something from each experience so that he can build on it.
And for the man who had difficulty making spares early on, he throws a trick shot at the 2-8. Got to be a great feeling. You've been there, especially on this pair of lanes. This is a great tournament to win. A lot of tradition.
A lot of tradition in this tournament. Yeah, I was very pleased to win this tournament. I got close a number of times, but only won it once.
For Norm Duke, reinforces a lot of the things that he has done well this year. And when you get it going, it happens that way. 2:15 for Norm Duke, who defeats John Mazza in the title game.
You know, you hear a lot that there isn't camaraderie on the junior tour here, on the national tour, but I don't see that. I mean, there was the applause for Jess Stayrook by Norm Duke as he left, and these two guys hugging one another. It seems to me that there's a lot of camaraderie.
You know, both realizing how difficult it is to win on the national tour. For John Mazza, over $100,000. And don't forget, coming up on Sunday night on ESPN, Major League Baseball, the Rangers and the Toronto Blue Jays, who are mopping up the Eastern Division. That game starts at 8 o'clock Eastern time.
Well, they got enough ex-Indians on that team. That's why they're winning, huh?
Well, one of my favorite pitchers, Tom Candiotti, won 2-1 just the other day for those Blue Jays. I like their chances. A team that's been awful close to winning it all for a few years now.
Right. Never can seem to get past the Oakland Athletics, though.
Right.
Or
but now they've got Joe Carter, too.
Right. Well, he may make the difference.
He's my favorite outfielder. I've seen all these guys play in Cleveland.
We get to see him for a few years before they move on.
Sure. Well, it ends on a sour note, but that's all right. 2:15 to 173.